across to Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, who's joining us, former GOC of the Chinar Corps. He's also, importantly, an IED and explosives expert, which is why we must understand what really happened at that moment of the blast. We are going to go back to the visual of the CCTV footage where we see the moment of blast. And General Saab, I must understand, what we know so far is that there were 80 kgs. Intel sources tell Times Now that there were 80 kgs of explosives in that I-20. That 80 kgs explosive is apparently, most of it was commercial grade. Some of it could have been military grade. We are still awaiting for the FSL report to come out. And what we have picked up is that the blast occurred towards the rear end of the CNG I-20. What do you make of the scenario? Explain it to us, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon to your viewers. First of all, without hazarding a guess, I would say the National Investigating Agency, NIA, is investigating it. And once they come out with the facts and figures, the picture will be absolutely clear. But just to explain the whole thing so that the viewers understand what you are trying to explain in great detail a moment ago, in a better perspective. See, any IED is basically an improvised explosive device. Mm-hmm. It's an improvised device, and improvisation can take place in more than one ways. So in this particular incident, most likely what is being available in the open sources is that probably ammonium nitrate explosive was used in this.
Yes.
Now, how much it was used? As per your sources, it was 80 kgs ammonium nitrate in this I-20 vehicle. And for making any improvised explosive device, it is important to pack that explosive tightly, mm-hmm, so that when the detonation happens and the shock wave is produced, and that is the time when the burst happens, the impact is more. For a common man to understand, if you remember the Sutli bomb,
yes,
which we used to bust during our childhood, and even probably today also it's available. Tighter that Sutli or that cord or the rassi is tied around that small little piece of explosive, right, more blast and more noise and more shattering effect and more impact it gives. So it's very important to pack the material tightly. That is the first thing. Now, second is, as per your sources, it was 80 kg of explosive. Suppose it was packed in a proper box or container or something, then it requires a detonation. No explosive will burst on its own. All explosives generally burn if you put a light to it. Now, for it to explode, you are supposed to create that pressure inside that container in which the explosive is placed. To create the pressure, you need a detonation. Detonation is a spark. And for detonation to act, you need a connection to the battery or electrical circuit. Now, that means there has to be a box packed of explosive. There has to be a detonator fixed in it. A lead from there should go to the battery, which would get activated either by physical on-off switch or by a remote control unit. Now, for all this and to increase the impact of the blast, normally what has been the experience in counter-terrorist operations or counter-insurgency operations, even in Sri Lanka where LTT was expert in the IED blasts, this explosive package is then filled up with small little splinters or scrap material, iron pieces, or even nuts and bolts. Basically, when the explosion takes place, these sharpeners or these metal scrap pieces will flow in all directions, yes, and cause more damage, especially to the humans. Now, in this case, as is visible from your screen, what visual you are showing of the exact timing of the blast, I don't think, and as per the reports of the journalist of your channel also, I don't think there were any metal scrap pieces which actually...
There were no sharpnels, there were no projectiles, and there was no crater which was created. What does that mean?
I'm coming to the crater now. So there was no sharpnels or projectiles. Hence, this also gives an indication. Probably this improvised explosive device was not fully prepared for maximum impact. That is one thing. Second is the point about crater. The crater is created in the ground. It's sort of a khada or a gada or, is a sort of a ditch which is created in the ground because of the impact of the explosive.
Right.
Now, impact of the explosive is generally decided by from where the detonation has happened. Suppose there is a box or a package of explosive and detonator is kept on the top of it. And when the detonation happens, the shock waves will go downwards and the impact will be towards the ground. In that scenario, the crater will be there on the ground. Now, in case the detonator has been kept below the explosive package, below and it is detonated from below, the shock waves will travel upwards and to the side. In that case, there's a less chance of having a crater on ground because impact has gone upwards. And sideways. And in this particular case, in the vehicle, there is a chassis, there is a floor, and there is a space in between the ground and the vehicle.
Yes.
Hence, no crater is also an indication that it's a low explosive. It is probably detonated from below, and impact has gone upwards. So this is what it seems as of now. And another point now, which is important for the audience to understand or the viewers to understand, in the morning, the Faridabad module was compromised and explosives were seized and people were apprehended. I think a major tactical level mistake which happened there was the police went to the press and announced the captures and the seizure and the names. Now that alerted all other members of that module, including this doctor who was in this I-20 vehicle and who was not at the place of arrests or the seizures. Now this is unprofessional work. The police or whosoever was there, they should not have announced the arrests and the seizure unless the complete module has been captured or arrested. You know, when you arrest a person, you take the module, you take his mobile phone, you take his laptop. A lot of data is retrieved from the laptops and mobiles. Lot of
which they did. There was a laptop which was found.
Yes. And remember, why laptop is important is these days the terrorists, they do not speak on open call or WhatsApp call. They use various apps which are secure and confidential and which are basically voice on internet protocol, VoIP, and which cannot be intercepted. So once the laptop and the mobiles were recovered, those apps would have been known, and who all have been speaking on that app
on those apps
would be also known, and they may have been in different cities of the country or even abroad. So the party should have gone to those people, picked up those people, arrested those people.
Instead of announcing it.
You know, when we arrest a module or capture a module, there is a technical intelligence, there is electronic intelligence, there is a social media intelligence, there is a signal intelligence, there is a human intelligence, and then there is an interrogation. Now, all these things combined together would have given each and every person.
You made a very relevant point, General Saab, that the announcement of the raids, the captures, perhaps should not have been given out, because once it was out, you already had Dr. Umar knowing that he is being looked out for. He knew that they had the picture, which is why he was on the run, and this was perhaps a blast out of absolute desperation, not because it was planned, but it was blind panic which forced him to detonate an explosive for 80 kgs, which would have been a much larger explosion. Only thing is, as General Saab was explaining to us in great detail, it wasn't planned, it wasn't prepared. So the extent and the impact of the blast wasn't as high as it would have been had it been a planned explosion, which clearly this doesn't seem to be. We are waiting for the NI results, we are waiting for the FSL result to come out and to know what exactly is in it. However, Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, thank you so much for explaining to us in great detail what could have possibly happened and what really explains the absence of a crater, the absence of projectiles at the blast site. Without a short break, this continues to be our top focus story here on Times Now.